Between the 14th and 17th centuries, Europe was struck by a bizarre and terrifying phenomenon: outbreaks of uncontrollable, often deadly, dancing. The most infamous case erupted in Strasbourg in 1518, but it wasn't the first, and it would not be the last. Records from the Rhineland in the 14th century describe groups of people dancing wildly in the streets, sometimes linked to the cult of Saint Vitus, a saint believed to protect against neurological disorders. In Aachen, 1374, thousands were said to have danced uncontrollably. The mania spread into neighboring towns along the Rhine, overwhelming communities and baffling authorities. Witnesses described victims collapsing from exhaustion, some never rising again. The most famous outbreak came in July 1518 in the city of Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire. The empire was a vast, fragmented realm that covered much of modern Germany, Austria, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, northern Italy, and eastern France. Strasbourg itself is in the Alsace region, a cultural crossroads between Germanic and French worlds. It began with a woman named Frau Trophäa, who stepped into the street and began to dance. Within days, dozens had joined her. By the end of the month, reports suggest up to 400 people were caught in the frenzy. This wasn't a festival. Witnesses described grim, anguished faces, bloodied feet, and bodies collapsing from exhaustion. Some reportedly danced until they died of heart attack, stroke, or sheer fatigue. Estimates of the death toll range from dozens to over 100. The Strasbourg City Council turned to physicians who declared it a natural disease caused by overheated blood. Their solution was chilling. They ordered the afflicted to keep dancing. Musicians were hired, and guild halls were cleared for the victims. Instead of curing the mania, this only prolonged the suffering. The Strasbourg epidemic raged through July and August, finally subsiding in September. It left the city shaken and remains the best documented case of dancing mania. But it wasn't the last. Sporadic outbreaks continued into the 16th and 17th centuries, though none reached the same scale or notoriety. By the 1600s, the phenomenon largely disappeared from European records. Historians still debate the cause. Theories include mass hysteria, triggered by famine, disease, and extreme stress; ergot poisoning, caused by a toxic mold on rye that can induce hallucinations and convulsions; or a combination of psychological and environmental pressures that pushed entire communities into collective breakdown. From the Rhineland in the 14th century to Aachen in 1374 to Strasbourg in 1518, the dancing plagues terrified Europe for centuries. Hundreds danced themselves to exhaustion, injury, and death. And then just as suddenly as they appeared, the outbreaks vanished. More than 500 years later, the dancing plague remains one of history's most disturbing mysteries, a reminder of how fragile the human mind and body can be under pressure, and how entire societies can be swept into inexplicable, deadly behavior. I'll leave you with two important questions. If stress, fear, and hunger could drive whole cities into madness once before, what's to say it couldn't happen again? And if it did, would you be able to stop dancing? Until next time, stay curious and try not to overdo the dancing.